Welcome back to Behind the Yellow Curtain. I am your host, Jess. This series, we call it, sorry, dropped a piece of myself here. I think I want to use this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about myself and to kind of throw things out there, really random things, and just hopefully start a conversation on your own with me, and also like use that to share my own perspective and to see if you find anything relatable. If not, well, thank you in advance for sticking around with me, and let's jump right into it. So this time I do want to talk a little bit about love. Hot topic, and everyone's talking about it, but I want to kind of discuss this from my own experience, my POV. Currently, I am very content with where I am, just being by myself, having the freedom to do whatever I want, whenever I want, and use my money on all my interests without thinking too much of, oh, should I keep that person in considerations or stuff like that. However, I do love talk about love with other people, and because that also allows me to kind of get to know more of like what that other person is thinking, and then also where they're at and how they view the world through love, how they kind of build relationships based on where they're from, their culture, their background, and where they're at in life. So always love that conversation, whether or not it is about finding new love. It's about like going into more mature and steady relationships or marriage, moving in together and maybe split. I don't know, like all kinds of all seasons of love. It's something that always teach me as an outsider, something that I have yet to learn. So another reason why I want to bring this up in this episode is because how I view things like love or relationship, it's a little bit different because of where I'm from and my background and my journey up to this point. I think because I grew up in one culture, moved to another culture by myself, and then spent a big chunk of time in that culture that literally shaped who I am till this point, and move again now to Japan. It really changes a lot of things in me and how I view how a relationship is built. So it's not just romance, but friendships, how I reset or like adjust my relationship with my family, things like that. It always like has been a huge humbling lesson to me every time when there's something change in my life, when I have to move again, for example, when I change my job again, for example, since I tied my identity a lot to what I do. So that's always going to be part of it. Also, the complexity of how I think or how I view the world. Because I think to a lot of you who share cultural nomad backgrounds with me, you probably will know this. Like how we view the world is not, it's very gray. It's like all shades of gray. It's not just gray because we probably would pick up some of the values that we feel align in one culture, but then mix in with other things with other cultures. So all that shaped into how we think things and how we view the world. And a lot of time it clashes or it kind of make it challenging for other people to understand where we're coming from or how we view the world. So in a way that makes it challenging or more challenging for us to connect with someone on a deeper level from that angle. But then always like when I listen to other people talking about their relationship, if they have a relatively speaking more simple cultural upbringings, cultural backgrounds, and same as their partner, you do then learn how they function and how they uh, kind of build this connection together, or how they kind of do this dance together with other people, right? So that personally teach me how to sometimes be more open to having different sides of me. And depends on the relationships I'm in or the like people I'm facing and then the different friendships I'm in. So just the other day, I was talking to someone and then they were sharing with me that they are about to get married. So that person, they grew up in Japan their whole life and they are as domestic as you could ever imagine. They've never been out of Japan and they've never imagined themselves being out of Japan. I think the furthest move is for them is from Kansai area to Tokyo. And they met their partner like 2 years ago, and then things moved very quickly, and now they are talking about getting married. That is not uncommon in Japan, by the way. Like how they view marriage or relationship is a lot of time in a lot of people's eyes very logistics. The person I was talking to, they are in their late 20s, so in Japan's years it's somewhere that you're supposed to get married or you're supposed to build a family now, and that's where their headspace is at. And I think same as their partner. So quickly after a year of dating and being in relationship, they moved in together 2 months ago, and now they are really planning this whole when to propose and then when to have a wedding and then when to see each other's family. And fun fact, actually, like learning from them and kind of hearing other stories is proposal is not a surprise in this country. Like proposal is a planned thing from both parties. Isn't that cool? I mean, I'm like, oh, I never heard of that because every time when I heard proposal, I thought about surprise. I thought about like people doing it in secret and then kind of nervous about their partner finding out, things like that. But in Japan, they plan it. Like both people know exactly when that's going to happen, what date that's going to happen, what ring she's going to get, and what flower she's going to get. And uh, from their perspective is they would like to know ahead of time from both sides so that they can dress well, they can prepare to make it perfect, was how they put it. However, like, okay, so going back to the story, they plan really quickly and now they're thinking about all the logistics, right? When I was hearing that, something that sparks inside me is that when I spent a lot of time in not just being on my own, but traveling or like witnessing people, couples who are also intercultural and interracial and less simple or less straightforward. How they talk about future planning is very different from this one. This one, I feel like because they grew up in an environment that's not just monocultural, but monoculture that is like very safe and very convenient and very advanced, how they think about things is it's very simple, right? It's this is where we're at. We're supposed to do this. We're supposed to do this at this time. We're supposed to do this at this age and we're just going to do it. They don't question anything. They don't go inside their head and then starting to be like, but is this the right thing for me? But is this the right thing for them? Like, I rarely get a sense of that as strongly as when I, for example, talk to my friends or people back in New York. People will start to like internally being like, okay, but what about value? What about this? What about that? And then you start to kind of have this like spider web kind of complexity inside of you and inside of them. And then when you talk about planning, it's always like such a, I don't know, like so theatrical in comparison. So this time it's kind of refreshing for me to hear someone talking about their marriage planning, their every step of the way since they've met is so like atarimae. It's so like that's how it's supposed to be. So something that I'm like, it's actually pretty nice if you think of it. And not saying that then they don't have internal like hesitation or consideration, but you can feel and you can tell that the how straightforward it is to them and how well it is how it is in front of him, it's like kind of different from what I used to hear from my other couple friends. I heard other story about young love, someone who just about to experience their first falling in love, and that is also such a fascinating thing for me to witness or to hear or to receive, because I feel like, how can I put this? Regardless where you're at, regardless the country you're in or culture you're from, when we are younger and we're experience young love, it's always so spontaneous. It's like it's like you don't know what to expect. So you just have to go with it and to find out more in that way, versus not saying that we lose all the excitement when we're older or anything. Like, I don't think age should matter. However, because of experience in life in general, we start to view all kinds of new relationships, new connections coming in to be this like thing that's more complicated than it has to be sometimes. And when I listen to this person talking about their experience about to blossom, how they describe is the very first time, right? It's like they don't think too much of it in a way that, because there's no much to work with, but that's a good thing, because then they going in with the fearlessness to be ready to experience it all is like something that I admire so much. I don't think I was that fearless when I was younger or when I was like back in somewhere else. But how they approaches this, I don't know if it's because of generation, I don't know it's because of the culture, but how they approaches this is like, well, this is my first time. I want to just like be fully present for it. I want to really experience it and know or discover how it is. And I feel like that's some feeling I want to also kind of get back, because who knows, right? Like, at this moment, I'm fine with where I am, but we change. I know there will be moments in future that I still would be like, maybe this is a time that I jump back into the dating pool. Maybe this is time like I want to meet someone new, or maybe this is time I want to make new friends. And I don't want to then become the someone who's so calculated, so like overthinking everything and so jaded in a way that I lose that freshness, that fearlessness to, or impulse almost to just go with it, just go for it. And I think a lot of time we still do that, right? We're like, okay, the older we get, the more we're like, well, there's nothing more to lose. Like we've experienced that. But it's kind of like sometimes it sounds a little bit passive, no? And especially with people like me or like you who experience different kinds of cultures, I think that's a great opportunity for us to kind of think from a fresh perspectives. Because when I listen to this young love story, it's also from a culture that I'm not familiar with, and how they talk about this from their perspective, I'm like, that's something I want to maintain. And then it's not just them. Like sometimes I talk to my friends back in grad school, like they're also from a very different culture, and how they view the world is like kind of similar, in my opinion, is they never lose that, I don't want to say a childlike side, but more like a side of curiosity that you tend to only have, or you feel like you're allowed to have when you're younger, when that's not true. You can actually keep that curiosity in you always, and then treat every relationship, treat every encountering that you have with a set of fresh eyes, or with a brand new chapter. So this is like what's inspiring to me. Like I feel like there's so much to talk about love, about relationship, about like meeting new people, or being a cultural nomads. Like viewing things differently, struggles when meeting new people, or so far so forth, or develop deeper relationship. But overall, what I want to really keep in mind, and I hope like this one also it can resonate with you, is that no matter where we're at, like culturally speaking or physically speaking or mentally speaking, it is possible to like keep that young side of you always. Of course, we take our learnings and then kind of like trying to avoid stupid mistakes or repeat themselves. But besides that, like not to dig too deep into things and then just go with the flow, and in a way that you're like receiving, being like, this is how it's supposed to be, without being too cynical about anything based on your experience, based on where you've been or where you're at, and live life like that. I'm curious how that would be like for you, what that would look like for you, because one day when I decide to expand my network, expand my horizon and connection, I'm also curious how that's gonna go for me, right? So yeah, and of course, this conversation can continue. So please feel free, don't be shy to DM me, comment, and don't forget to subscribe our channel on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. And I'm almost here, and I will see you next time.